This is a work in progress personal statement. So here they've just got a code over here saying that to remove a word, highlight in red. For added words, sentences, write in purple. Now, this gentleman decided to use a quote. And I didn't see anything wrong with it. So they chose, dreams are not achieved by wishing but by working. Yes, of course, this is a quote, but it's not something very specific to one person. This can be something he can go on to elaborate on. So what I wrote over here, what I highlighted here, was this has been the motto that I have followed to inspire me to success in A-levels. Don't lie, guys. Really, if you just found a quote from the internet that may be semi-relevant to what you're talking about, don't say that this has been the motto that you've been following. I didn't want to lie to myself when I wrote my personal statement, and that's why I didn't put a quote, because I didn't really see a quote being relevant for my personal statement. So anyhow, what I've highlighted this in yellow is because I want him to change the wording of this. And yes, indeed, he can talk about it, but he shouldn't really refer to the quote. He can just say something like, I don't know, yes. So anyhow, now we're on to the second paragraph. So this gentleman starts off by writing, my passion for working with people is highlighted in the vast array of work experience that I have undertaken. So what I did was I added this sentence here, and instead of putting that first bit, I replaced it with a little small sentence and then a new sentence, because otherwise it would have looked too long. So what I've written is, I love working with people, full stop. There shouldn't really be anything else you need to say about that. Working with people, do you love it? That's it. There are certain things I've actually highlighted in red. So these are things that you can actually save your word count on. There are some people, now, when I first wrote my personal statement, I made my personal statement too long. I made it too long by writing things the long way round, when you can really save on words and just shorten everything. So for example, here we've I've written, I learned that often the way in which how you say something is just as important as what you say. Now, this gentleman here is actually repeating what he's already said. So I learned that often, if you just get rid of the way in which, it just makes a sentence much shorter and easier to read. I learned that often how you say something is just as important as what you say. Now, we won't go into the absolute details of this, but you can have a look at the individual bits. The yellow bits are just things I wanted him to rephrase, because I felt that they didn't quite represent what he truly wanted to say. Now, I would really stress on this, guys, that please do not write things that sound clever. You want to sound effortless. That's what you want to sound. You want to use words and sentences which make you sound clever without making you sound snooty. Remember, you don't want to be using a word from, synonyms. So, for example, if I press right click on here and ask for synonyms, it will usually give me synonyms. Here it says no suggestions, but you know what I'm talking about. You don't want to be using some next complicated synonym for a word which your reader is just going to get annoyed at that. They're just going to stop and be like, what does this word mean? You don't want to come across as someone really snooty and trying to catch the reader out. You want to come across as someone who knows that they have a good vocabulary, but they use it sparingly. So use the occasional words here and there, throw them in there, but don't fill your personal statement with lots and lots of big words. Use some simple words and use some big words. Just use them sparingly. Just show the reader that you have a good vocabulary, you know how to use it, but you're not snooty about it. You want to sound clever, but not a nerd. That's what I can say. What else can I say about this personal statement? So what I did, I'm going to go through in another video what I did for my personal statement. So the first personal statement, what you saw, was my personal statement, and I will go through some tips in general how to make your personal statement really, really good. And, well, keep within your word count, etc., make it long enough, whatever your criteria may be. Now, just remember one thing. I want you all to remember one thing if you must. You want your first paragraph to be no longer than 4 sentences. 4 lines, rather. You can go to town with all the middle paragraphs, but your last paragraph needs to also be no longer than 4 sentences or 4 lines. And just remember, the filler paragraphs in between, one should be on academics, one should be on supracurricular activities, and one should be extracurricular activities. What are supracurricular activities? Activities that you have done as work experience, or to extend your knowledge, to extend your knowledge within the field that you're applying the course. And your extracurricular activities are essentially whatever you do, whatever else you do. And remember, relate everything, every single sentence back to the course you're applying for. So if it is dentistry, if there is one particular skill you want to highlight about yourself, relate every single statement you make about yourself back to this. Remember to you're not just listing off work experience, you're actually trying to show that you have taken something from it, and only state those little details that are most dear to you and that you personally have learned from it. Remember the skills as well. Remember to try to mention anywhere you can. Go through all the skills that you can think of. Make a list of every single skill you can think of and try to slot it in there, and try to see which particular work experience has, levels of the skill, for example. The skills include communication, teamwork, time management, IT or technology skills, fine motor skills, and the list goes on. If in doubt, Google it. Google skills, different skill types, and you shouldn't go wrong. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Hit that bell icon to stay tuned for the next video. Mwah. Bye bye, guys.